The Great Lakes region is full of natural beauty all year round, but photographer Amy Sacka's most recent project, Last Ice, is focused on the tradition of ice fishing. Sacka and 3 longtime ice fishers reflect on what declining ice cover means for them.
Amy Sacka is an accomplished photojournalist and documentary photographer whose work has been featured in National Geographic along with numerous museums and exhibitions. A lifetime of ice fishing with her father drove her to start documenting what he was experiencing out on the ice.
I started to go out with him, and I was finding these beautiful Michigan landscapes and this incredible activity out on the ice that really kind of blew me away. And I started going out nearly daily in the winter to photograph all the things that we as Michiganders love.
Today, Amy and her dad Tim Sacka are fishing on a pond near Lake St. Clair.
Yeah, I started ice fishing right after high school, so over 50 years ago. And I fished with my buddy, something to do, and it got me hooked on ice fishing, that's for sure.
Amy has photographed ice fishers all over the Great Lakes, and many voice a single concern.
What I would hear repeatedly is that we can't get out on the ice as much anymore. The ice season is starting later and ending earlier.
Her father Tim agrees.
There's less ice than there used to be. Back 50 years ago, we used to bring our cars on the ice back and drive them right on the ice and with no problem. It's slowly been less ice every year. I would always be on the ice the week before Christmas. The last 3 years, I haven't been able to get on the ice until mid-January at the earliest. It's a shame that we have less and less ice, and I'm afraid it's going to continue to happen.
And Tim isn't the only one who's noticing the shrinking season for ice fishing in recent years. Mark Martin has been teaching ice fishing for the last 32 years.
I mean, when I was really young, I can remember, 2-3 feet was the normal. In fishing, I've seen the good, bad, and ugly, so I feel I've paid my dues to be a good teacher for the rest of everybody. I made the mistakes, and that's what you got to do.
Ice is essential to Mark's business. On this day in December of 2021, he and his staff were building shanties for a multi-day ice fishing school scheduled for early January. But there was no guarantee the ice would cooperate.
We'll always get some ice, but how long is it going to take all the time? I just knock on wood and cross my fingers that I'll have the ice when I plan on it to teach these people.
As it turns out, by the time the class begins on Houghton Lake in northern Michigan, frigid temperatures have arrived, removing all concerns about ice. Houghton Lake is large but shallow, meaning it will reliably freeze, even without Arctic temperatures.
First of all, probably more, we look at the weather. The weather's been cold for weeks, We know that it's been freezing.
Even in Thunder Bay, Ontario, on the north shore of Lake Superior, Benny Solomon is noticing the changing ice coverage during the winter months.
Well, I noticed with the ice changing, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Usually frozen by January. But now it's sometimes turning into February, just a little wee bit of ice. Global warming may be affecting everything, or I'm not quite sure.
Benny is an Anishinaabe fisherman from Fort William First Nation. He's been fishing for around 40 years and uses nets to catch fish in the bay.
Sometimes we catch the odd pickerel, but tomorrow I'm hoping to catch a rainbow, a couple of rainbow, maybe a whitefish. Whitefish are good smoked right now.
Benny says the ice still comes to this part of the bay in the winter, but it's become harder to predict.
Well, last weekend I set some nets with the granddaughters. We set them on Saturday. By Sunday, all the ice was gone. It blew all out, so it was we had to pull the net out with the grandkids because the ice was moving up and down.
Unlike the rods, shanties, and fish finders used by the students in Mark Martin's school, Benny has an entirely different method that requires him to drill 2 holes through the ice and then run a line between them under the water. This style of ice fishing with a net that's hundreds of feet long moves at a different pace than the other style, involving about an hour's worth of work at a time and checking the nets every day or two to ensure the catch is fresh. Benny isn't just fishing for himself when he comes out here. He shares what he catches with his community and also teaches others this skill. In a way, he's carrying on an important tradition that was passed down to him. Back at Lake St. Clair, Amy Sacka and her dad are getting ready to wrap up their time on the ice. And although these two are nearly 800 miles south of Benny Solomon and a ways from Mark Martin's fishing school, the love for this Great Lakes winter tradition unites them all. Amy's passion for preserving the stories of Great Lakes ice fishing has culminated with 2 stories for National Geographic and a new exhibition called Last Ice on display at the Ford House, just a few miles down the road from where they're fishing today.
And why that means a lot to me is that my dad has fished at the Ford House his entire life. And there's ice fishermen that will be fishing on the cove right there as you walk through the grounds and see the pictures in the environment. So we're really thrilled to see that work in that space.
Oh, I'm so proud of her. It's just unbelievable. I can't believe she's in National Geographic and all their articles. I could not believe and be more proud of my daughter.
Yeah, this has really been an awesome experience. I mean, to be able to go out on the ice with him and kind of merge our interests in a way. And I think we all kind of look for ways to honor our parents and thank our parents. And I hope this is one way that I could do that for you.
And yet it's bittersweet. It's already harder to ice fish than it was a generation ago. The future of this tradition is uncertain.
I initially went out to really look at just the beauty of the landscapes, but people were telling me that they're not able to get out on the ice as much anymore. They're going out later and they're finishing earlier. And if you look at the research, it all points to the fact that ice is really declining pretty quickly.
At Great Lakes Now, we aim to cover the Great Lakes region and the people who live here, like you. Please follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and sign up for our newsletter at greatlakesnow.org.